Welcome to Drill Down Earnings with quarterly results out from IBM, which is also the ticker, IBM. International Business Machines, one of the 50 most important companies in technology, certainly still to this day. I'm Cory Johnson, Chief Market Strategist at Epistrophy Capital Research. This company came out with third quarter earnings in the quarter, and things have been going so much better for IBM. It was a laughing stock, at least for me. These are the things that amuse me. And covering this company and its travails over the years, decades, was always kind of a sitting target. But they're actually doing things all right. And indeed, this quarter, Wall Street wasn't super excited about these results, up about 2% after hours trading. I'll show you that. But I think it looked like really strong quarter, accelerating growth across all of their segments, and even that phrase made their press release, but it's a true fact. Revenue is $16.3 billion. Up 9% on a year-over-year basis for this company. And they've got slowly improving operating profits, now at 15% in the last quarter, just gently ticking up here. Now, when we think about IBM, look, IBM right now is really a software business. 44% of revenue is software, 33% consulting, infrastructure, and a little bit of financing tossed in there. It's actually really profitable business, but only 1% of revenues. But software momentum, growing at 9%. Or 10%, 9% is an adjusted number, but automation was up 22%, hybrid cloud up 12%, their data business up 7%, and now they're at a run rate of recurring revenues, $23.2 billion, I should say. Again, driven by Red Hat and their HashiCorp business, the acquisition that they made, which is fueling some automation growth, and they say their strongest bookings quarter ever at IBM as they roll towards fiscal year 2026. This is the end of their third quarter of 2025. And the Red Hat business, again, cranking that software up 10%. Now, consulting has been a big worry in recent quarters. 2-3 quarters ago, they were doing negative consulting numbers year after year. You think, or quarter after quarter, I should say. You think, well, in this age of AI, shouldn't people be running out to hire consultants from IBM to figure out how to create AI engines, agentic AI engines, if you want to have AI in their corporations? Now, I'm saying maybe it's out of the woods. They've got 2 quarters in a row of growth in consulting. It's only 3%, but at least it's returned to growth here. They say their generative AI bookings are $1.5 billion, but we'll keep an eye on consulting with IBM. It's such an important part of their business. And indeed, it probably drives a lot of revenues in their software and their infrastructure business. Infrastructure also doing better, rebounding, up 15%, 17% on a year-over-year basis. Their IBM Z systems up 59%, the highest third quarter they've had in 2 decades there. So that was helpful. And again, their Gen AI book of business surpassing $9.5 billion across all their segments. At least that's what they say. They don't break that out separately, but that's what they're telling us in the commentary around the call. And specifically, they say they're moving on with their quantum roadmap. I'll believe it when I see it. Their new System 2 deployments in Europe helping, and a quantum-centric supercomputing partnership with AMD. We'll see when we get there. That's where the push is. Now, the stock down about 1% in after-hours trading, but it's after a 24% gain in the last year. Look at the S&P 500 in the last year, which is what I was just looking at over here on this other screen, 14%. So well outperforming the S&P 500 for IBM. And profitability is a big part of that. Adjusted EBITDA up 22%, operating pre-tax margins up 200 basis points. And year-to-date, free cash flow, 3 quarters of it, $7.2 billion. So it's showing that they're actually not only growing in all segments, they're actually seeing some operating leverage here. Here's what Arvind Krishna had to say about the competition out there, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, I said, and even CoreWeave. Here's what the CEO Arvind Krishna had to say.
We actually partner deeply with all the hyperscalers. For example, we are one of CoreWeave's large clients. We also tend to use a lot of infrastructure at AWS, at Azure, as well as at GCP. So as opposed to that, it's an opportunity for us. Eric, it's the flip. We get a huge opportunity to do both consulting projects as well as deploy our software on those infrastructures for our clients. As an example, if I take one of our very large health insurance clients, as they think through where they're going to deploy their AI models, they do not like deploying in a public instance, but they're perfectly fine getting a private instance in a cloud and deploying models there. That's a big opportunity that comes there. That'll show up in revenue for us, both in consulting as well as in software,
So big opportunities in consulting, that's what I'm looking for, but I gotta say this is a pretty good quarter from IBM. But I'm gonna give you your drill down earnings summary, everything you need to know about the company, your drill down earnings bite. But please, can I ask you, quick, subscribe to these podcasts or broadcasts you're seeing on YouTube, wherever you're watching this. It really helps us with our numbers. I've got 4 kids in college. Come on, give me a little love. It's free. All right, but let me get your summary here. So IBM Q3 earnings, your takeaway has got to be that it was a good quarter. Across all business units, they did well, $16.3 billion, up 9% on a year-over-year basis. On the top line, profitability a little better. But again, I think the number you want to remember is 3. There are 3 main businesses of software, consulting, and infrastructure, and even financing, all growing. Software at 17%, consulting at 3%, infrastructure at 10%. Those 3 business units all growing for a change at IBM. That's good news from Big Blue. All right, thanks for checking out Drill Down Earnings. I'm Cory Johnson from Epistrophy Capital Research. Subscribe to this channel so you can follow us in the future.